Liquidity ratios. Liquidity measures an organization's ability to meet its short-term financial obligations. Even a profitable company may encounter cash flow problems. Liquidity and working capital ratios can be used to give an indication on an organization's liquidity. Current ratio. Current ratio is a comparison of organization's current assets to its current liabilities. The current ratio compares liabilities that will fall due within 1 year with cash balances and assets that should turn into cash within the year. It assesses the company's ability to meet its short-term liabilities. Traditionally, textbooks tell us that the current ratio should exceed 2 to 1 for a company to safely meet its liabilities. However, acceptable current ratios varies between industry sectors, and many companies operate safely below a level of 2 to 1. A very high current ratio is not necessarily good. A high ratio could indicate that a company is too liquid. Cash is often described as an idle asset because it earns no returns, and to carry too much cash is considered wasteful. A high ratio could indicate that the company is not making sufficient use of cheap short-term finance. A decrease in the ratio or a low ratio figure in comparison to industry standards could indicate that the company has liquidity problems. Steps to improve liquidity could be paying creditors as they fall due or better management of receivables to avoid bad debts. Acid test ratio. The acid test or quick test ratio is current assets less inventory divided by current liabilities. The acid test ratio recognizes that inventory often takes a long time to convert into cash. It therefore excludes inventory values from liquid assets. Traditionally, textbooks tell us that the acid test ratio should exceed a ratio of 1 to 1. But nowadays, many successful companies operate below this level. In practice, a company's current ratio and acid test should be considered alongside the company's operating cash flow. A healthy cash flow will often compensate for weak liquidity ratios. If an organization has a variable annual cash flow, a high ratio may be important here in order to ensure its debts can be paid when they fall due. Housekeeping ratios. Inventory days, receivable days, and payable days are all known as housekeeping ratios. Inventory days ratio. Inventory days is inventory divided by cost of sales. Inventory days ratios measures how long a company carries inventory before it is sold. For liquidity purposes, the shorter this period, the better, as it means less cash is tied up in inventory. Long inventory holding periods can result in inventory becoming obsolete. On the other hand, too little inventory can result in production stoppages, missed sales, and dissatisfied customers. An increase in inventory days could indicate that an organization is having trouble selling its products. In this case, the company should take steps to increase inventory turnover by removing slow, non-moving, or obsolete products. An increase in inventory days is not always a bad thing, as it may be a deliberate strategic direction taken by the organization. For example, where an organization is gearing up for a big sale push. Receivable days ratio. Receivable days, also known as debtor days, are receivables divided by sales. Receivables days are the average period it takes for a company's debtors to pay what they owe. For liquidity purposes, the faster money is collected, the better. Generally, the longer customers take to pay, the higher the chances are of bad debts arising. However, too much pressure on customers to pay quickly may damage a company's ability to generate sales, as customers will expect a certain period of credit to be extended. Possible steps to reduce this ratio are credit checks on all customers to ensure they can pay on time. Improved credit control. By this I mean the company's invoicing on time and chasing bad debts promptly. Payable days ratio. Payable days, also known as creditor days, are payables divided by purchases. They are the average period it takes for a company to pay for its purchases. Long payment periods are good for liquidity, but care must be taken here not to damage relationships with suppliers. Work in progress period. Work in progress period is the average work in progress divided by cost of sales. It is the number of days an organization takes to convert raw materials into finished goods. Work in progress refers to all materials and partially finished products that are at the various stages of the production process. Finished goods period. Finished goods period is the average value of finished goods divided by cost of sales. It is the number of days for which finished goods await delivery to customers.